Hi everyone, it's Ashley again. I hope everyone had a great summer. So my presentation will be on the Brow language, and I'll continue that in the next slides. But it was a pleasure being in this class and reading everyone's discussion posts and videos, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the year. According to Christopher Mosley's The Atlas of the World's Languages in Danger, published by UNESCO, Brow is severely endangered. A Mon-Khmer, an Austroasiatic language, classified by Thomas and Headley as a member of the Western Banranic group of Mon-Khmer, Brow was first documented under the ethnonym Khao Palau by a Thai scholar during his travels to southern Laos and northeastern Cambodia between 1891 and 1893. There are several varieties of Brow, including Lave, also known as Brow proper, Krung, and Kavet, also known as Krevet. Some linguists consider them separate languages, but for this presentation, I'll consider them as one. There are 5 different dialects of Brow in Cambodia. The Brow Tanap, or lowland Brow, and the Brow Krung are situated south of the Sasan River. Brow Lun is situated on the banks of major rivers, and the Brow Kavet and Brow Omba live in Pass North along the tributaries of the Sasan River. Khmer differs from neighboring languages such as Thai, Burmese, Lao, and Vietnamese in that it is not a tonal language. Words are stressed on the final syllable, hence many words conform to the typical Mon-Khmer pattern of a stressed syllable preceded by a minor syllable. If you direct your attention to the final point, age in Khmer is written in that form and pronounced ayu. In Lao, it is written in that form, but I couldn't find the audio pronunciation guide for the word. And in Brow, it is pronounced nu and written the same way as Khmer. So Krung has 29 consonantal phonemes. Krung is a dialect of Brow, and the rest of the dialects follow the same order. So these 29 consonantal phonemes are shown in Figure 1. 15 of those previous consonants also occur in the final word position as shown in Figure 2. In Figure 3, you can see the 19 vowel phonemes, 8 short, 8 long, and 3 long diphthongs. In Figure 4, you can see that the phonological word in Brow exhibits the familiar Mon-Khmer sesquisyllabic structure in which a strongly stressed main syllable is optionally preceded by a weakly stressed pre-syllable. In Figure 5, this is what constructionally the pre-syllable in Brow may be represented as. And in Figure 6, you can see what open pre-syllables generally take the form as. In Figure 7, you can see the difference between the examples of Brow sesquisyllables and monosyllables. For example, to play for sesquisyllable would be belu, whereas a monosyllable for thigh would be blue. Structurally, the Brow dialects are quite homogeneous, and the vast majority of basic vocabulary reflects a common etymon. This uniformity is illustrated in Figure 8, where you can see the slight differences between the Brow dialects. Cambodia is home to an estimated 300 distinct indigenous peoples from 24 ethnic minority groups, equaling to about 2% of the country's population. The Brow of northeast Cambodia have dark skin and black hair, resembling the majority Khmer and Lao lowlanders of the region, although Brow are generally shorter in stature. They are one of the several hill tribes inhabiting isolated villages in the Ratanakiri province of northeastern Cambodia and in the Atapu province of southeastern Laos. In Paul Sidwell's 2003 book, A Handbook of Western Banaric Languages, he suggests the possibility of a total of 50,000 speakers. In Laos, a 1995 Laotian census places the population at 17,544. In Cambodia, the Asian Development Bank gave an estimate of 29,500 speakers as of the early 2000s. In Vietnam, about 300 Brow live in Dak Me Village, Boi Yi Commune, Ngoc Hoi District, and the Kon Tum Province. In Thailand, there are an estimated Brow population of 2,500. However, it is more likely that there are now only 35,400 speakers as documented by new data. Brow speakers are mostly Swidden rice cultivators, and their main religion is animism, although a small minority of the Brow in northeast Cambodia have recently converted to forms of evangelical Christianity. Brow variety of animism focuses on the appeasing of a wide array of malevolent spirits who manifest in various ways. Village elders are responsible for leading village sacrifices made to spirits in the forest, streams, rocks, and fields. This maintains order in the community so that the spirits are not disturbed. Village diviners determine the cause of sickness through ritual and prescribe an animal to be sacrificed to the respective spirit. Sickness and crop failure are generally blamed on spirits. Arak and Bras are the local names for spirits requiring appeasement. Villagers raise chickens, pigs, cows, and water buffalo primarily for sacrifice. Village sacrifices, weddings, and funerals involve the entire village drinking large quantities of rice wine over several days. The ages of Brau speakers tend to be older, but there are still many young people who live in the villages. The following video is of Brau speakers and one of the rituals that they perform. The Brau were forced into slavery by the Angkorian Empire, influencing how they farm their land and fish today. They are known for their intricate handicrafts, chin tattoos, teeth filing, and harvest festivals. The Krung is a Brau subgroup well known for their traditional weaving of krama scarves, traditional plate making, and foraging prowess. The Brau differ from the lowland paddy rice farmers of the region as they traditionally depend heavily on the forest for their livelihoods. They usually grow upland dry rice using Swidden agricultural methods. Cash crops like cashews and coffee provide limited income. Rolling forested hills of red volcanic earth cover much of the Brau homeland, and several major rivers traverse flat floodplains. Hunting, fishing, and raising animals provide protein in their diet. Unfortunately, recent logging has deforested vast tracts of their land. Women are often seen walking the red dirt roads with baskets on their backs carrying produce and goods. The Brau are very poor, with little access to schooling, literacy programs, and electricity. Additionally, illegal logging and land concessions encroach on traditional Brau land. Access to justice through the court system is difficult to obtain. The Brau face existential challenges to their way of life, as the forests they have depended on for centuries are decimated by agricultural and urban expansion. It makes them worry that the spirits that they believe are living in the forest are angry. Their chickens will fall ill and their crops will perish. With improved infrastructure throughout the country, there has been a rapid increase to migration to remote regions. This has resulted in large-scale alienation of indigenous community land and increasing numbers of land and natural resource conflicts. Wealthy and powerful people inside and outside the government, especially outsiders to the region, often take advantage of the opportunities afforded by expanding markets and improving transport. Highland villagers, on the other hand, find themselves without their land, the necessary capital, resources, and knowledge to take advantage of new opportunities. Many indigenous people have fallen into debt as their traditional incomes have dried up. The construction of the second Lower Sasan Dam, an $800 million project between Cambodia, China, and Vietnam, will have a significant impact on the wildlife habitats, as well as taking up 24% of the total agricultural land in the Sasan district. The project will also have a severe impact on the migratory fish stocks, creating a flooded area of 335 square kilometers, making it harder for the indigenous people. More than 9% of the fisheries in the entire Mekong River will be lost because of the dam. Huan Kalip, a 60-year-old Brau community member, reports upstream impacts from the dam. For 3 years, there was not even a single fish here upstream. I can no longer fish. I used to get half to 1 kilogram of fish per day, and now I can't even get one. Another major factor causing marginalization is the total absence of formal legal services and institutions where indigenous people might be able to have their cases fairly adjudicated. Often, social protest is the last resort, where individuals and community members have been unable to seek justice from the courts for their land disputes. Protesters are often jailed for long periods of time without appropriate hearings, legal procedures, or legal representation. Local grassroots organizations in Radanakiri, like the Highlanders Association, represent interests of indigenous people. They've been conducting consultations with the community since 2001, acting as a vehicle for public participation in the implementation of the 2001 Land Law. The Indigenous Youth Development Project was created in 2000 to provide opportunities for educated Indigenous youth to contribute to the development of their own communities. Organizations like SIL International work with local communities to develop language solutions that expand possibilities for a better life. SIL and the Joshua Project are both faith-based organizations that collect donations and prayer cards for the Brau people while doing field research to spread the word of their existence and culture. The two most detailed ethnographies I found of Brau actually came from these two. The UN Development Program is currently working with the Cambodian Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Interior to come up with conflict resolution and preservation tactics for the Radanakiri province in Cambodia. Some of their current plans are to create a facility within the Ministry of Justice to speak on a regular basis with designated Indigenous representatives about ongoing research and documentation of customary laws and systems. They will also train court officials about operating on the interface between two legal systems. They also want to enhance Indigenous people's participation as a basis on which the groups can share power with the state. They also want to invest traditional authorities with formal authority to deal with illicit land sales and conflicts, to mediate boundary disputes and ancestral land claims. There's a 10-minute documentary called Our Tribe, Our Heritage, which is funded by Save Cambodia's Wildlife, and they document the lives of the 4 Cambodian hill tribes, including Brau, and I highly recommend it. The Brau people are facing rapid social and spatial changes as a result of a wide range of initiatives, many of which are associated with development. The Brau are being forced to reorganize themselves and reconstitute their place in an ever-evolving quote-unquote modern world. With educational development comes language endangerment, as national language use is overtaking the range and context of local ones. Many indigenous minorities also feel the need to adapt to national languages in order to find better jobs or hold better relations with the nation-state. Recently, survival of ethno-linguistic diversity seems to depend more on central legal protections, independent and civil institutions, rather than the people who speak it themselves. I'd argue that it is just as much as the older generation's duty to pass on the language as it is for outside forces to promote and preserve. Elites are often the ones who get to deem which languages are useful or not. Western countries' preservation of Latin in many classrooms show that they put a level of prestige on certain languages. How do we get the people of Cambodia to feel the same way about Brau? Are more documentaries, scholarly works, and museums the answer to promoting a community in need? Or do we have to turn to imageries of poverty and people in need in order to elicit pity and therefore action? These are all questions that I want to leave you guys with. So thank you very much for tuning into my presentation, and I hope you have a good day.